This is Swarfcast. I'm Noah Graff. I'm dealing with a customer right now who seems interested in some CNC machines Graff-Pinkert has for sale. They told me they needed this type of machine ASAP, and these machines are rare. They even said they had a big job for the machines already, and they're on the verge of pulling the trigger any day now. But then they stopped returning my phone calls. They're ghosting me, and my croc brain is getting the best of me. I know these kind of scenarios have happened to most of you listening to this, either in your professional life or your personal life. And no matter how successful you are, you have to be very strong mentally to deal with this problem in the right way. As machinery dealers, buying and selling equipment all over the world, this happens to us at Graff-Pinkert constantly. Today, I'm going to tell you how I deal with customers like the one I just mentioned. People who stop returning my calls or seem to be just stringing me along. So the next time it happens to you, you won't go crazy. And hopefully, you'll make the deal in the end. As I just mentioned, right now I'm working on a deal for some expensive CNC machines. It's a significant deal. Not the biggest one Graff-Pinkert has ever had, but it's up there. It seemed like they really wanted the machines. We worked with this customer for a different deal a little while back, so I think they like us and trust us. I went back and forth with the customer for a month. Closing the deal seemed to be getting nearer, but the last few weeks, they've stopped being available when I call or text. They're ghosting me. I'm frustrated. I've put a lot of time and energy and thought into this deal, and I like to think that I'm a great person who someone would want to talk to. Yet, they don't even have the decency to communicate with me, to tell me yes, no, or maybe. Enough venting. It's time to snap myself out of this crap and explain to you listeners how I'm dealing with this right now, and how I deal with lots of situations like this. Let's break this down into a typical ghosting scenario. You had a nice back and forth communication going for a little while, and things seem to be progressing in a good way. Then all of a sudden, your customer isn't available when you call and doesn't call you back. They stop returning your texts or emails. Let's be real here. If this has been going on more than a week, it's not a great sign. But it still doesn't mean a deal is dead. If a customer showed significant interest once upon a time, the game is not necessarily over. The first thing to remember when you're being ghosted is don't take it personally. Taking things personally when people don't get back to me has historically been a weakness of mine. I've been ghosted by people I've known for years, who I felt I had a great relationship with. I've been ghosted repeatedly by my best friend since the 3rd grade, and it used to hurt me and piss me off. But I still appreciate him as a friend, so I stopped taking it personally. If I can deal with my old best friend seemingly falling off the face of the earth, I should be able to deal with less important people I haven't known that long who aren't calling me back. So let's get on to more important things. You need to recognize your fear of the unknown. Maybe the worst part of getting ghosted is dealing with the unknown. Humans are naturally tortured by fear of loss. It often feels worse than actually losing. Fear of loss, aka death, protected us in the wild for billions of years. So we plead with the heavens. Why can't they just say no if they don't want to work with me? If they just say no, the fear of loss will be gone. The torture will be gone. I'll at least know where I stand, and I can move forward with my business and my life. This is true. Getting told no can be a beautiful thing, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Before you do anything else to try to wake up a person who's ghosting you, you need to get your head together. In order to stay sane and prevent yourself from doing something stupid when you get ghosted, is to understand why the person might be ghosting you. The number one reason, in my opinion, why people aren't getting back to you about your big, important deal They just don't care about it as much as you do at this moment. It's possible the opportunity you're providing is fantastic, and the other person could be interested. Maybe they're distracted by personal stuff, like a family member who got sick, or they're sick, or they're on vacation. Maybe something else is going on in their business that's just a bigger deal than your deal at this very moment. It would be nice if people had the courtesy to just tell me that they're deflected with something at the moment. After all, a text or an email takes 30 seconds. It's something I think I'd do, but not everybody is that courteous, so don't worry about that. Just stay mindful that a lack of communication might have nothing to do with you. Another significant reason people ghost you is that they don't know what to say to you. They're having trouble making a decision. Maybe they've been offered an alternative to what you're selling, and they don't know which one to choose. Maybe they're embarrassed about their indecision because they're not sure if they have enough money to pay for your product. That happens a lot to us with both startup companies and big companies. Many people are just uncomfortable saying, I don't know what I want to do, or I'm not ready to make a purchase. In any case, it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong, and the deal still might not be dead. You have to stay mindful of that possibility, because it can take a long time before people are ready to make a deal. My dad says that deals are like fruit. Sometimes you just have to wait for them to ripen. We've waited for years for single deals to finally break. Another thing you have to do to get through a ghosting situation is to remind yourself to keep perspective about this deal. This big deal. Is it really that big in the scope of your life? When I'm getting stressed out by a deal or other problems I encounter in life, I think about what the great negotiator Jim Camp wrote in his book, Start with No. He says that all you really need in your life are food, air, and your loved ones. The rest is just stuff you want. You have to make sure to never let yourself be consumed by one deal, no matter how big or important it seems. One way I do this is by keeping a lot of other interesting deals going on at the same time. If you have other good things going for you, you'll be less consumed by the person who's stringing you along. Better yet, you're going to feel less needy, which will make you happier and more confident. You'll also be less likely to try to call people too many times when you've been ghosted. When you call a customer too many times, even when they're truly interested, you come across as needy, and then you lose negotiating power if the deal ever does happen. But if you have a lot of deals going on for you, when your ghost wakes up, you'll have a chip on your shoulder when you finally talk. You'll approach the conversation knowing that you have value, and your customer will believe that you have value because they called you. So besides being mindful of the reasons why a person could be ghosting you, what else can you do to solve a problem like Maria? I don't even know why the nuns thought Maria was a problem. She was nothing but delightful. That's right. Maria is not your problem. Your problem is that your customer isn't getting back to you, and it might be making you go crazy. And that's distracting you from other deals or things in your life that could be even more important. How can we wake this ghosting customer up? And wake them up in a good way that makes a deal more likely to happen? You have to use no questions. What are no questions? No questions are questions designed to get someone to respond to you with a no, not a yes. Why are no questions helpful? Psychology studies have shown that people have a much easier time saying no than yes. It's as if people are abused animals whose guards automatically go up if they sense you want them to say yes. And that's because it implies you're trying to get something from them. Which is why no questions are super useful in a negotiation, because they make you seem much less threatening. In the case of contacting a customer, using no questions makes it more likely they'll pick up the phone, and it makes you come across as less needy. So how do you do it? Whenever you contact anyone in a professional context, after you introduce yourself, always ask, Is this a bad time to talk? Contrast that question with, is it a good time to talk? When you ask if it's a good time, you're asking for something. You're asking for their time. You're asking for the most scarce resource any of us have. That's going to increase the possibility that the person who answers the phone is annoyed by your call. You also seem needy and low status as you're begging someone to grant you their time. So back to the person who's ghosting you. If you send a text message to the person asking if it's a bad time to talk, first of all, they'll appreciate you being mindful that they have things to do. Then, many people will think to themselves, well, I guess it's not that bad of a time to talk, and they'll respond. Or they'll say, actually, it is a bad time. I'm at a meeting. I'm at a funeral. I'm in Ireland. But at least they'll say something to you rather than go silent. There's another power no questions have when you're trying to wake up a ghost. They can create fear of loss for the person you're trying to talk to. When you text or email someone, are you no longer interested in my product or service? If they are actually interested, it might make them nervous that you're going to give up on them if they don't reply back. Or maybe your no questions will just make the ghost feel more comfortable telling you they're not interested, which is disappointing, but at least you can get on with your life. There will be other deals, and hopefully most of them will be with people who don't ghost you. I've got one more no question in my arsenal. It's what I call the nuclear bomb. It's the last resort, after you're tortured for at least a month by a customer, when a deal had seemed so promising, but then the customer has frustrated you and vexed you to the point where you're ready to lay it all on the line to find out whether or not the deal is truly dead. You send your ghost a one-sentence email. In it, you have a subject line that says, "Have you given up on this project?" Put that same line in the message. No hello, no best regards, just that one line. I've done it many times, more than I wish I have. 9 times out of 10, they write back. In my memory, it usually resulted in them saying that they were still trying to make a decision, but they just didn't know what they were going to do. Whatever they answer, it's almost always a relief. Hopefully, by that point, you're no longer obsessed with the deal anyways, because you have others going on at the same time. Remember, if a customer ghosts you, don't take it personally. Keep every deal in perspective in the scheme of what truly matters in your life. Be mindful of reasons why your customer might be silent, because they still might be interested, and it's counterproductive to let deals stress you out. Have lots of opportunities going on at the same time as this one deal, to keep you sane, to make you less needy, and because that's the way to run a successful business anyway. Finally, use no questions, both to prevent a customer from ghosting you or to wake them up in a way that doesn't make you come across as needy. Don't give up too early, and don't blame yourself for results that might be out of your control.